10. Stopping the profanity. An elderly man in Michigan was arrested after investigators found out that he had left a pair of pipe bombs at two different cell phone stores with the intent of blowing them to smithereens. Along with the bombs at the stores, he left threatening letters at a couple of cell phone towers. Why did he go through all the trouble to try and bomb these stores and threaten the cell tower workers? According to the man himself, named John Douglas Allen, he was angry that telecommunication companies were allowing immoral content to be distributed through cell phones. Oh yeah, and he wanted to stop everybody from using profanity on their phones. This weird crime spree began on August 25th when an unnamed employee at a telecommunications tower in Michigan found a mysterious letter inside an envelope sealed with a plastic bag. The letter said that it was from a group called the Coalition for Moral Telecommunication, but really it was just John. The letter demanded payment of $5 million to help combat the spread of immoral content. The letter also said that if any members of the organization were arrested, the price would go up 100 times. 1 month later, John was captured on camera leaving a box outside an AT&T store in Sault Ste. Marie and another one outside a Verizon store in Sheboygan. Both boxes contained pipe bombs so powerful that if either had exploded, they could have easily killed everyone inside the stores. Luckily, the cops were able to track John down and defuse the bombs, and he has since been taken into custody. He may be more than a little mentally disturbed, and happy to say, John's a little late for his mission to silence the internet. 9. Exploding face. The last thing anyone wants while chatting on their phone is for it to explode and blow their head off. In fact, most people wouldn't even consider this as a possibility. Yet, in India, an 18-year-old girl had this exact thing happen to her. Her name was Uma Aram, and her phone exploded while pressed against her ear, killing her. She had plugged the phone in to charge just before the incident occurred. And to make matters even more horrific, she was speaking to a relative at the time. The relative had no idea what happened. The line simply went dead. Somehow, speaking on the phone while it was charging caused it to blow up, which knocked Uma unconscious, burned her hand, and rattled her brain so hard that she was declared dead. You're probably wondering what kind of phone she was using, and don't worry, it's not a popular one. She was on a Nokia 5233, which was released back in 2010. A spokesperson from Nokia said that everyone at the company was saddened to hear of the unfortunate incident, but they of course denied all responsibility for what happened. And they'll probably get away with this too, seeing as the investigation was quickly wrapped up without police ever discovering what exactly caused the explosion. 8. Walks into a bear. A man in California just about walked straight into a bear because he was distracted by his cell phone. And if you don't believe me, the near-fatal incident was caught on camera by local TV station KTLA-5. This individual was strolling down the street at the exact same time that a bear was strolling up the street. But he didn't see the giant animal in front of him because he was staring at his phone. He appeared to be typing a message, completely oblivious to the 300-pound, 136-kilogram bear directly in front of him. He just about walked into the animal, but looked up from his phone at the last second. We don't know for sure, but this guy probably peed his pants. It's not every day you look up from your phone and see a rampaging wild animal coming straight for you. Once reality hit him in the face, he turned around and ran. In case you're wondering where this happened, it was in La Crescenta, a place where bear visits aren't entirely uncommon. They actually come out on trash day to sift through people's garbage and steal their scraps. The bear was first spotted at 3 in the morning, with a man nearly walking into it at around 7. It was shortly after that when authorities finally caught up with the bear, tranquilized it, and took it back into the wild. 7. The cell phone from 1943. A wartime photograph taken in 1943 appears to show a man on a cell phone. Nobody can quite decide if this guy is a time traveler from the future or if he's just fiddling with his fingers. The photograph was taken at Towan Beach in Cornwall, England. While at first glance it seems perfectly ordinary, look a little harder and you'll notice there's a mysterious man in a brown jacket with his head bent and his eyes near his chest as if he's furiously typing a text message. Those around him don't even seem to know he's there, as if he's invisible to the people lounging on the beach. Naturally, people are divided on the picture. Some claim it's actual evidence of a time traveler who stopped to check out his mobile device. Others say he was simply picking his fingernails. We'll probably never know the truth, at least not until they start giving out tourist packages for traveling back in time to 1943. But forget what the experts think. What's your opinion? Is this guy a time traveler? Is he just rolling a cigarette? Or is there something even more mysterious going on? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. 6. Charging in lightning. Radha Ferreira de Oliveira was charging her cell phone when the unimaginable happened. It was a stormy day in Brazil, and Radha had chosen to stay inside and do a bit of relaxing. Her phone was going to die, so she plugged it into the wall and sat back to do what people do on their phones. What she hadn't anticipated was that in the early hours of Sunday morning, as the storm raged on, a lightning bolt would spiral down from the sky and strike her house. That lightning bolt traveled through the house, entered the electric socket, up through the charging cord, and into Radha's body. She received a major electric shock and passed out on the spot. Unfortunately, the electric shock was so severe that the poor girl could not be saved. Her family drove her to the hospital, but she was dead even before they arrived. It was a total freak accident that nobody would ever imagine could happen to them. And yet Radha was the third person in the Brazilian state of Pará that got electrocuted during that same week. A man named Semiaho Tavares was talking on his phone when he too got struck by lightning and died, with his phone acting as a lure for the electricity to come down and shock him. 5. Fallen into a sinkhole. Yet another human being has fallen victim to staring at their cell phone. This time the victim was a young girl in China who walked straight into a sinkhole. The young woman was so committed to whatever was happening on her phone that she vanished without so much as making a scream. One minute she was walking, the next she was basically in the underworld. This disastrous fall was captured by security cameras set up near the sinkhole. The hole was caused by rainwater that seeped into the ground and caused the sidewalk to deteriorate, opening up a sinkhole 20 feet, 6 meters deep. But this girl who lived in the area was not used to there being a giant hole in the sidewalk. So as she walked and texted on the phone, she didn't anticipate there would be a sudden drop. Luckily in this case, the girl survived. According to the LA Times, a taxi driver witnessed the whole thing, jumped out of his cab, and climbed down into the pit to rescue the poor girl. She was a little banged up, but otherwise physically fine. It was more her mental state that was going to need a bit of recovery. 4. Killed in her sleep. A 14-year-old schoolgirl named Aluza Atkizi Azalbek fell asleep listening to music in the small village where she lived in Kazakhstan. Unfortunately, the young girl never woke up. The next morning, Aluza was discovered dead with her phone beside her, the device blown to pieces. Apparently, she had plugged the phone into a power socket before falling asleep, then laid the device beside her head to listen to music. Sometime during the night, the phone overheated, blew up like a pipe bomb, and she died from severe head injuries. The only silver lining is that she never felt any pain. She never even knew she died. The blast killed her instantaneously, and so she simply stopped dreaming and, well, that was it. According to what the forensic report said, the mobile phone had exploded due to overheating in the early hours of the morning. If she had only gotten up a little earlier, she may have actually survived. Unfortunately, the exact brand of smartphone was never disclosed by the authorities. We have no idea what kind of phone it was, and so the best thing for everyone to do is just not fall asleep with your phone beside your head. If you value your life, maybe keep your phone on the nightstand when it's charging while you sleep. 3. Phone in the bath. A Russian accountant forgot the first rule of bathing while using the cell phone. You're not supposed to have the cell phone plugged in. Evgenia Shulyatyeva, just 26 years old, was discovered dead in the bath by her mother. The mother had rushed over to Evgenia's house when her daughter had abruptly stopped responding to her messages. No one knows exactly what happened in the bathtub that day, since the woman was alone. We don't know if she was texting while charging the phone or if she had her phone beside the tub while charging and it slipped in. But whatever the case, this is just the latest tragedy in an alarmingly popular trend of people dying in the bath thanks to their phones. In fact, several similar incidents have occurred in Russia over the last few years. Almost all young women in their 20s. Apparently, phones need to come with water warnings. Let this be a warning. Electricity and water don't mix. For example, a supermarket worker named Anastasia, just 20, had the same thing happen to her in April. She was found dead with the phone clutched in her hand, soaking in the tub. She was from Moscow. And then there was the poker star Lilia Novikova, who died in June from yet another electric shock in her bathroom. And finally, a more recent victim was an unnamed 10-year-old schoolgirl who dropped her phone in the bath while it was plugged in. 2. Straight off a cliff. People spending too much time and attention on their phones is nothing new, but a man in San Diego probably wishes that he had paid a bit more attention to his surroundings. This guy was staring at his phone when he literally walked right off the edge of a cliff, plummeted 60 feet, 18 meters to the ground below, and died. It happened on a Friday near Sunset Cliffs Boulevard. The lifeguards who were present at the time say they don't know exactly what the guy was doing, whether he was texting, using his camera, or simply catching up on the news. But according to witnesses, he was staring right at the screen of his phone when he tipped over the edge. He wasn't watching where he was going, and the next thing he knew, he was dead. After the fall, a handful of witnesses scrambled down the cliff to see if they could save his life. These people put their own lives in jeopardy just to try and save the guy who cared so little about his own that he couldn't even watch where he was going. They gave him CPR, but it was hopeless. The poor guy was pronounced dead on the scene. Afterward, lifeguard Bill Bender made a public service announcement warning people that walking and using your phone can be just as dangerous as driving and using a cell phone. 1. Cut off and gone. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Cassandra Stratton moved from Denver to Miami and stayed at a certain condo building that you're probably familiar with. Her husband, Michael Stratton, is a political consultant who's worked on no less than 10 presidential campaigns. As you can imagine, Michael has quite a busy schedule. He travels a lot for work and just so happened to be absent when the condo collapsed in Miami in 2021, killing 99 people, including his wife. But as if this wasn't tragic enough, Michael had been speaking with Cassandra the exact moment the building crumbled in on itself and everyone died. It was about 1:30 in the morning when this horrifyingly destructive incident went down. And rather than sleeping peacefully in her bed, Cassandra was catching up with her husband on the phone. She described to him that the building was shaking violently, and completely without warning, the phone line went dead. Michael didn't understand what was happening until he turned on the news and saw that the very building his wife was in had crumpled to the ground. He hoped against hope that she was still alive, but that didn't turn out to be the case. She died midway through their conversation. with her husband left staring at his cell phone screen. Are you scared to use your cell phone now? Let us know in the comments, and thank you for watching. Remember to hit subscribe and come back for more of the craziest videos on the internet. See you next time. Bye.